Okay, let's start again. Welcome, everyone. This is the third free webinar of the series that we have planned for you. It is an experiential webinar because we are going to talk about energy, but most importantly, we're going to experience energy. We have prepared a set of practical exercises that will help you feel and expand your energy body. So we will go through the slides. Pooja will lead on a number of exercises. I will take on some other exercises. And in the end, you'll also have the possibility to do an exercise with the hemi-sync technology, for which we're going to need the headsets or the earpiece. As I'm using now, there's no difference. And we're going to do a sharing circle after. So if you have any questions or if you want to relate anything, we're here to listen and give you feedback and guidance. We are going to record the first part of this experience. And then when just before starting the exercise, we're going to stop recording so that, you're free to completely let go and have the experience without worrying about you being recorded or anything like that. So you'll be free to experience completely comfortably. Have I said everything, Pooja?
I think you have, Val.
Yeah, for the time being. Okay, then I'll pass it on to you so you can introduce yourself.
So thanks, Val. So everyone, my name is Pooja, and like Val, I am a Monroe Institute outreach trainer. So we deliver some workshops, which are in-person workshops, but also some online workshops, which are based on the Monroe technology. But we also do a lot of this kind of outreach work, which is for free, so that people can learn about this technology and benefit from it. There is, in fact, and Val will tell you at the end as well, there's even a free YouTube channel for the Monroe Institute where there are a number of free resources available for you. But my day job is as a public health specialist and epidemiologist. And people often ask me, so why am I doing this? I'm doing it because many, many years ago, I discovered this technology and I found it really helpful in various aspects of my life. Mostly it's helped me just optimize my performance at work, sleep better, de-stress. But also, once you start working with this technology, there is nevertheless a spiritual dimension to it because it allows you to access certain consciousness states that are very difficult for us in this busy life nowadays. But what I like about it is no one telling you, it is your experience. And so you can explore for yourself and make up your mind yourself about where this journey takes you. So, Val, over to you.
Thank you. Once again, welcome everybody. I, like Pooja, have had for a very long time a 9-to-5 job working for corporates. And on the side, I've always developed this side of meditation and exploration. I've always wondered what's more to life than the physical body, than the 9-to-5 job, than the relationships, the way I used to know them with myself and with others. So it's been a absolutely wonderful exploration. And it's been 20 years now. I started coaching meditation and I started sharing the techniques that I know in different courses. But what really convinced me to become a Monroe trainer is just like Pooja said, it is a technology that enhances your own abilities and your own potentialities, and you're then free to explore for yourself once you've been, let's say, empowered by the technology to explore and to keep exploring with the freebies or completely on your own and find out who you truly are, what you really want, who you want to be, what kind of relationships you want. And when you are in contact with yourself, the way this technology helps you and facilitate you to be, then all the decisions that you make are in line with your true nature. And for me, it's a mission in life, if you will, to help others feel like I've learned it's possible to feel and to live life. So here we are. I'm going to share the presentation that we've prepared, and then I'll pass it on to Pooja so she can guide us through the slides. Pooja, let me know if you can see.
I can see that. So
Perfect.
as it says on the title slide, and hopefully this is what you signed up for, this session is going to focus on experiencing your energy body and exploring an expanded state of awareness. Now, we're going to talk you through some techniques that we found helpful. But as you know, we keep saying it's your experience, and it's not about us saying this is how it will be. It's about you getting that chance to experience, and then maybe even going after the webinar and trying out some of these techniques. So let's start by looking at some basics. When we say the energy body, what do we mean? Now, some of you might be surprised to know that actually the National Institutes of Health in the US, which also funds a lot of research in health and life sciences, actually came up with this definition for the biofield, where they said the biofield is a massless field, not necessarily electromagnetic, that surrounds and permeates living bodies and affects the body. So there's this recognition that around us as humans, we have this, what they call a biofield. There is some sort of field. Then we also have authors like Barbara Brennan, who comes from a really interesting background. So she was scientifically trained, she was a NASA scientist, but interestingly, she also had this ability to perceive, so see auras and aspects of the energy body that a lot of people can't. And so based on this, she has written a series of books. So I think the first one is called Hands of Light. And Val, we can put that in the show notes as well later in YouTube. But basically, based on her observations, she described the energy body as a luminous body that surrounds and interpenetrates the physical body. And what she says is, well, usually this is called the aura. Now, Barbara Brennan describes 7 layers of the auric field based on her observations. But again, why we're telling you this is because sometimes it's helpful to have some sort of a guide, but ultimately, we want you to have your own experience, because we can tell you things, but till you have that own experience, it's a little bit like someone telling you and waxing lyrical about love or joy or sadness or grief. You have to feel those things yourself to know for yourself, yes, I now understand, I now know. So we can just be guides, and so can these authors. Val, would you like to add anything at this stage?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to provide a visual image, which is often helpful, of what you just said, the auric field, so the 7 layers of the auric field. This seems like a bit of a complex image, but I put it together actually, because it wasn't like this when I selected it. I put it together because it gives you an idea. On the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see the different colors and the emanations of these colors that go from red all the way to violet and purple. And I'm not going to go through all of them. You will have the presentation PDF after the webinar, but I wanted to show that each different body has a color, and that depends on the frequency at which that specific part of yourself vibrates. In fact, you see some small numbers on the left of the little man that's in front of you. That's numbers with hertz. So each color is a vibration, and each body has got a specific vibration and a specific color. Each body also corresponds to a specific chakra, and therefore to the function of each specific chakra. I'll stop here because it's a lot of theory to go deep into this. And for the time being, what I wanted to provide was just an image of the beautiful complexities of ourselves. Now, we are so much more than our physical body. And this is an image that really delivers the idea. And then you can search on these definitions once you have the PDF presentation on your own time. So we can move on. Thank you, Pooja.
Thanks, Val. Now, we also know about energy anatomy from a lot of spiritual traditions. So, for example, in the Hindu and Buddhist esoteric traditions, there's well-established energy anatomy, which recognizes the 7 major centers or vortices known as the chakras. Then there's traditional Chinese medicine or TCM, which considers meridians, which are these like pathways of energy along which life force energy or chi flows. So there is a lot which is out there. But again, before I pass on to Val, what I'll say is, if it is helpful, use this, refer to this. But we are going to move into practical exercises in a bit. Always go with, like, if something doesn't align with you, put it aside, because, ultimately it comes down to your own experience. Val, did you want to talk a little bit about EFT?
Yes, and first want to thank you about stressing the importance of feeling it and feeling it resonate with your own truth. It's very important. I'm going to put my hair down and my hair up and my glasses down because I want to show you this very easy, quick, and simple technique to do. It is called EFT. Probably some of you have heard of it, and it does use the meridians, which Pooja has just mentioned, and the massage of the meridians in order to unblock the energy that sometimes is blocked in some of the points of our body. This can happen because of stress, because of anxiety, and because of post-traumatic stress disease. In fact, EFT, which is an acronym that stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, is often used to release and feel relief from anxiety, and also to accompany the process of healing from post-traumatic stress disease. It is very, very easy. It touches 12 major meridians that mirror each side of the body and correspond to an internal organ. I'm going to go through this with you, and I'd like you to follow me as I do it so you can feel how it feels. And then all the details with regards to the different organs that each point connects to, I'm going to give those after we finish the webinar, when I send you the email, because otherwise it's too much talking. So let's go to the practice. The first point that you touch is this part of your hand. It is also called the karate chop, because it's like, is when we do that. So one thing that I need to say before we start is that you can do this in 3 different ways. You can tap, you can press lightly, or you can massage. So you press lightly and then massage in a circular movement. Okay, so because it is difficult, unless you are a practitioner, it's difficult to know exactly where the point is. In this case, we're going to use 4 fingers, 4 or 3 fingers, and simply tap this point. I invite you to do it with me. When we do the tapping, we usually connect for a moment to the thing, the thought, the emotion that stresses us, so that when we tap, we are sending a message to our subconscious that we want to release that specific emotion or stress. So after having tapped or pressed this point, you move on to the top of your head. So literally here. You can tap, you can press lightly, or you can massage it. And there is no specific time or duration. You do it and you feel as the energy gets released. Then after you've done this, we're going to move using both hands onto the top of the eyebrow. Okay. Once again, you usually have your eyes closed when you do this. And remember to breathe as you tap. Then you go to the side of your eyes, where the beautiful smile wrinkles are usually formed. Then you go under the eye. You can use one finger or more than one finger. Then you go under your nose here in this space. And you usually use one hand in this case. Then you go under your lower lip here, in between the lower lip and your chin, and you tap. Then once again, use both hands and you go to your collarbone. Just when they meet, if you touch, there is a little valley, a very soft valley here, and just tap both with both hands. Then there are two more points, which are, I'm going to move my camera a little bit so I can show you. One is under the arm, directly to the middle of your breast if you're a woman, and then you just simply tap. Once again, don't use only one finger because you wouldn't know which specific point to tap, but use 3 or 4 fingers and you tap. And incredibly, this point can actually hurt quite a bit. It does sometimes to me. And then you move on to the other side. So do both sides, preferably. And then finally, if you are a woman, you might want to do it with one hand at a time. So with one hand, you lift your breast and you do it right perpendicular to the middle of your breast, and you tap here. Let me just move the camera once again. So you tap here, and then you do the other breast and you tap here. Clearly, if you are a man and you don't have this issue, you can use both hands to touch both points. So do this and feel, as you do it, connect with your feelings and emotion that you want to release or the answer you want to find, and just let the energy flow. That was the first experience of today. Thank you, Pooja, for passing on to me, and I'll pass it back to you.
Thanks, Val. So after that, the only other reference that I had here was Energy Medicine, which is, again, a book, which is by Donna Eden. Some of you may have heard of her, Donna Eden, who's come up with the Eden Energy Medicine System. And a lot of Donna Eden's work is like, I got introduced to this because I was doing Qigong as well, and I could recognize some of the Qigong movements and exercises in her work. But what I liked about her work was she made it very simple. So I may not have time to do a 15 or 20-minute Qigong routine, but I generally find time while the kettle is boiling for my tea in the morning to do her 7 to 10 minute daily energy routine. We're not going to go into that at the moment, but again, why I put that was because she is another one of those rare individuals who can actually see energy. So she has also described energy anatomy, and she has confirmed from her perspective a lot that we know from spiritual traditions, from Barbara Brennan, etc. So it's another resource you might want to look up. There's lots of stuff from her on YouTube as well that you might want to look up. Right. So let's get into the practical bits. So our first, well, it's actually our second practical experience is let's have a go at perceiving our energy. So what I want you to do is I want you to shake your hands vigorously. So we've moved a slide, Val. We need to move to the previous one. Not that you need to see a slide, but the information is on the slide, so you can you can practice this later as well, because we'll be sharing the slides. And then once you've shaken your hands vigorously, just rub your palms together for 2 to 3 minutes. Now you can either rub them like this, so palm to palm, make sure it touches, or you can also actually rub it so that your nails are touching. It depends. Some of you might not want that grating feeling, but actually for some people who find it difficult to perceive energy, sometimes they find this, rubbing the nails vigorously quite helpful. Okay, let's have a go with this much. And when you're doing this later, practicing later, you can spend more time. So now what I want you to do is just hold the palms of your hand together, maybe first 2 to 5 inches apart, and just kind of slowly start moving them. So first towards each other, then slightly apart. So you can close your eyes now if you want to, because for some people, and this is true for me as well, I find that I perceive better with my eyes closed, because when my eyes are open, I find that I get, there are other distractions. Now keep slowly moving your hands back and forth, decreasing and increasing the space between them. You can go beyond the 5 inches. You can go much further apart, 10, 12 inches. You can go slowly. And just be open to any sensations that you're feeling. But don't force yourself. Just be open to whatever the experience is. So we've got a comment from Dot saying that you feel an incredible amount of energy between the palms. And now, I don't want you to worry if you haven't felt something, because I have to say that I didn't feel energy for a long time. Like I told you that I came to all this work for things like very practical applications. I want to sleep better. I want more focus. But with time, I developed this sensitivity. So you always have the option to go back and practice. Now, just out of interest, and only if you want to, you don't have to, it'll be nice to see a thumbs up from those who feel that they perceived something. And don't try to sort of second guess what is the right perception or wrong perception. Okay, so we have some people. And for those who didn't feel anything, again, don't worry. Maybe what might help you is after the webinar later, in the week or something, try that rubbing your nails together, because I find like if you rub your nails together vigorously for 2 to 3 minutes and then try it, that might help. Otherwise, who knows? We're going to have an exercise with the tech as well. You don't know what will happen then. So, okay. So Val, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Oh,
Okay, and we have another comment. Yes, so a tight feeling, also some kind of heat. So yes, just be open to whatever you are feeling, because sometimes, and we see this quite often in workshops, and it's happened to us as well. So, we were in the same place. We're like, can't feel anything, don't see that this is not working, something. But it's like, you have to train yourself to be open to receiving something. And I don't know if you've ever had this experience where you're sitting in silence, but suddenly you can hear this hum, which is like the hum of whether it's electricity or something in the background. And once you hear that, you can't unhear that for a bit. And it was there, but why didn't you see it before? Why didn't you observe it before? Because our brains are so used to, with all this information that's coming in, to actually suppressing some bits of information which it has determined is not important to you. So part of it is actually learning to work with your brain and telling your brain, actually, this is important to me. At this point, I do want to experience this. So let that information in. Okay.
Yeah, wisely said. Thank you, Pooja. And that's a nice opening to, yeah, we get there. I told you at the beginning, I'm not great with technology, so I'm excused. All right, expanding your energy. So we're going to take another little step, and we're going to expand this sensation that we felt in between our hands, or this heat sensation that we've had to the other parts of our body. So what we earlier defined as aura. So I'm going to guide you through a short meditation so that you can perceive your energy body a little even wider than your hands. So choose a comfortable position to start with. If you have your glasses on, you want to remove them, do. If you want to untie your belt or just take off your shoes, just choose the best and most comfortable position for yourself, and then close your eyes. And once you close your eyes, it's as if you've closed a window onto the external world. And you are all of a sudden, very naturally, connecting with the world within, which is a world made of very subtle things. Your inner voice, the sound of your breathing, the sound of your heartbeat, and the sound of the energies moving, the cells moving, vibrating to keep the whole of your body together and working as healthily as possible. So as you connect within, imagine that you breathe in your body, and once the air fills the whole of your physical body, then it kind of goes overboard and it expands into another part of you. And it goes a little bit further, a little bit beyond the boundaries of your physical body. And every time you breathe in, this circle around you grows a little bit bigger and expands a little bit more. And so you breathe in and it gets filled with energy. You breathe out and it expands. You breathe in and you feed your energy body with more energy. And then you breathe out and you expand, becoming bigger and bigger at every natural breath you take consciously. And breath after breath, you become wider and more expanded. More and more expanded. Beyond your room, beyond your seating. It's as if you're levitating and expanding, simply using your breath. And you go beyond your country, and you can see the lights of the houses of your country the neighbor countries, and expand even more. And you start feeling as if you're part of everything else around you. Stay there for a few seconds, perceiving and feeling how much bigger and more expanded your true being is. And now, consciously use your breath to go back on the steps. So you breathe in, and as you breathe out, you become a little smaller, and you start going closer to your physical body very delicately, nicely and progressively. You breathe in, and as you breathe out, you become a little bit smaller. And you're aware of your town now. You're becoming smaller and more closer to your bedroom or your room, the space you're occupying in this very moment. And then with the next out breath, you become one with your physical body. And you feel, you perceive, you have returned from some other place which you reached simply by using your breath and your energy body. And now let a few seconds pass by as you settle in once again, letting your energy body synchronize perfectly with your physical body. And with your next in-breath, gently open your eyes and smile. Welcome back.
Thanks for that, Val.
You're very welcome. These are short versions of exercises that we can do a little bit using more time.
So this is one thing that you might want to do. You might want to try this exercise again on your own, just like, before you go to bed. Maybe you can try this. What does it feel like, just with your intention and imagination, expanding, your awareness beyond your body, and just visualizing or perceiving your aura expanding and then bringing it back. And just be very observant, like scientists, like explorers. Like, what does it feel like? Is there, for some people, it might feel like some people might actually not feel anything going out, but they might feel it coming back in. They might feel a difference in their density. They might feel that they get into a trancey kind of state with it. So again, we don't want to preload you with these ideas because your experience will be your own. Even when the previous exercise we were doing, So some people who reported they felt heat or tingling, but you could have experienced something else. You could have felt like something like a pulling or a magnetic feel or an itchiness or something else. So just be open to whatever you're feeling and say, do I feel different? And if I feel different, in what way? And this is how you build your own understanding of how you perceive things. Right. So the next thing that we wanted to talk about was taking care of your aura. So some of you may have heard this being said in different places, that energy flows where attention goes. So what you can do is, and we kind of did a variant of this in the last webinar, where we called it something different. But really what you can do is, if you close your eyes again, what I wanted you to do is, again, imagine your aura. And your aura is basically this non-physical part of you, this biofield that is surrounding you like a blanket, as an energetic field which is surrounding your body. And use your imagination if you have to. And just imagine that it is there surrounding your body, about 6 feet across in diameter around you. And then, again, with just your visualization, you breathe in, and as you breathe out, intend for your aura to be surrounded in a protective cocoon. And let it take any color or any shape. So for some of you, it might take a white color. For some of you, it might be blue. For others, it might be silver or gold. For some, it might look like a cloak. For others, it might look like a cocoon. Just let it be whatever it wants to be. But essentially, what you're visualizing or imagining is that your aura, this field which is around you, is surrounded and protected in this light, which can be of any color and any shape. And then I want you to imagine a golden light cord which is extending from your belly button and going down to the center of the earth. So imagine that you're going deep, deep down, right into the core of the earth. And this golden light cord is attached firmly to the core, and this grounds you. So just take a few breaths to just tune into how you feel. Okay, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Now, we did a longer version of this in the previous webinar. So if you want to, if you wanted to look up that recording and follow that exercise, that you can do that. But this is something quick. So let's say, I don't know where you're based, but let's say you're based in a busy city, you have a long 1.5 hour commute, there are people all around you, there's all this stuff, and you just feel, oh my goodness, I'm picking up all this stuff. Just a simple visualization, just like, just close your eyes for a second, just breathe in, breathe out. And as you breathe out, just imagine this beautiful colored light is surrounding your aura. And that's really just holding your energy in. It's maintaining you in a high vibration state. Nothing can affect you. It's like Teflon. Things are just floating off and just slipping off. You don't get bothered at all. And then imagine your golden light cord going deep down into the center of the earth. And that just keeps you in your center, very resilient. So this is very simple. You can do it in a matter of seconds. You can do it while you're standing at the bus stop or at your train station. Now, some of you might feel something, some of you may not feel anything. But again, remember, it's all about your attention and your intention. There are some days I don't feel it at all. Like at that moment, but I realized only later in the day, at night, that, oh, yeah, I felt like, I don't feel as tired. There are other days when I actually feel it, like, and it's very hard to describe it, which is why we are encouraging you perceive it for yourself. But it feels like whoosh, something has actually happened and come around you as a cloak. Val, would you like to add anything there?
That was beautifully said. So I'm just going to go to the next slide if you're happy. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Now, this is another thing that we wanted to share with you, and it's something I quite like doing in the evening, just before going to bed. Sometimes I do it as soon as I step into the house after work, especially if I've had one of those days where, like, ooh, it just feels very gunky. And all I do is I visualize a violet light, and I won't get hung up upon which shade of violet. Let it take whichever shade it wants to be. Just trust you're getting the shade that you need at that moment. Just coming through your aura and cleansing it. You can also visualize, like, if you have a shower at night, you can visualize the water in your shower infused with a violet light as it washes away any energies that do not serve or belong to you. And you can just play with your imagination and play with colors. So there are days when I just feel, I feel like infusing the shower with an aquamarine light. I don't know where that comes from, but, like, treat it as play, and you'll be surprised, because all of us have this deep intuition that we don't even realize we do, that'll guide you to what you need. So let's just have a go at just visualizing this violet light. So you might want to just close your eyes just for now, and I want you to visualize this violet light, whatever shade it wants to be, just coming through your aura and really infusing it and cleansing it. So you might visualize it as almost like a very liquid light. So it's light, but it seems to be just flowing through you from the top, right through your aura, all aspects of your aura, and going down into the earth. And as it's going down, it's taking with it any energies that you do not need. So anything that you might have picked up that does not serve or belong, it just takes it and sends it to the earth. And anything that you do need, but you need a higher perspective on, it transmutes to the highest frequency of love and light. Now, for some of you, you might visualize it like a violet light, like a solid column. For others, it might feel like a violet rain. For others, it might feel like a violet flame. So again, just go with it. Just trust whatever you're being shown. Okay.
Great. Is there anything you guys want to share with us before we move on to explaining just a little bit of theory of this technology that we're going to try together, and then do the exercise? If you have any comments or any questions about what you felt, what you experienced, what Pooja or I have said that you need clarification on, we've got a couple of minutes to address that before moving on.
And you can put your questions in the chat if you don't want to come on the video, on the recording, or we could leave space for questions later once we stop the recording. So anything. Seems quiet at the moment, Val. Maybe we'll give people time when we've stopped recording. I think sure. We can have a chat then.
Sure. Okay. Oh, there's one.
How long will it take us to feel these vibrations? It's interesting. So why did you use the word vibrations? it's you might perceive it as something else. Not everyone feels it as vibrations. Yeah, energy. Okay, so I think it's hard to say because everyone is very individual. But what I would say is just start observing, because when people describe things like, oh, I feel a tingle, or I feel this electricity, you might feel it in a different way. So, for example, there are times when I just get this feeling of peace and calm, or I feel like, something in me has, like, just kind of settled in. So it's a feeling rather than a vibration. So people perceive these things in very different ways. So just be open to anything. You might feel, some people have also reported, they say, well, I don't know, I must be imagining or making this up. But whenever I do that exercise, what I call that light around my aura, I always imagine it as pink. I don't know why I started doing it. Well, maybe it is pink. Ah, tears rolling down. So that, again, that could be a way that something at your conscious level you haven't been able to perceive it using your five physical senses, but something has moved inside you that has caused those tears. So, again, just be grateful and accepting of any experience you have, and be open to observing whatever comes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you both. So we are going to move on with the next part of the webinar. Here the slide says explore expansion with Monroe Sound Science. So we're going to do a deep dive, albeit quick, on first of all the neuroscience of our system. The most important, we're gonna select for time constraints the things to say, but we're gonna get straight to the important points. The first thing to say is that our brain, now it's commonly known, thanks to the neuroscience and how common and well known some concepts have become, that our brain is composed of two different hemispheres: the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, or the right brain and the left brain. These hemispheres have individually very specific functions. So the left part of the brain that usually corresponds to the right part of the body has to do with anything that's logical, anything that's linear time, anything that needs be measured. So space, dimensions, objectivity. It has to do with the ability to analyze things, the ability to label and put things into boxes and paradigms and understand them, which is why we label and put things in boxes in order that we can understand them. And then there is so everything that we say rational, usually we use this term a lot, rational. And then there is the right part of the brain, which is the right hemisphere, corresponding to the left part of the body, and that has to do with everything that is creative. So when we listen to or play music or write music, that's something that belongs to the right hemisphere. Whenever we feel emotions and we let ourselves go to the emotion, when we daydream or we think about people that we love, whenever we observe and we lose ourselves into looking at our child, or we imagine our desired life, when we paint, these are all activities that are peculiar to the right hemisphere. We tend to use two hemispheres of the brain in a very selective way. So we either use the right part or the left part. Unfortunately, we miss out on very important benefits when we do that. for starter, when we use the two parts of the brain simultaneously, the very first thing that happens is we lose the tensions. All the tensions lower automatically because the characteristics of the right hemisphere merge into the characteristic of the left hemisphere, and so our tensions go down. Another very important thing that happens when the two parts of the brains collaborate is that we have an idea with the right hemisphere, and we need the left hemisphere to use the language to communicate, to first understand the idea, and then to communicate the idea to others. So whenever we talk about lateral thinking or problem solving, it's when the two hemispheres of the brain work together. There are many other possibilities and benefits to the two hemispheres working together. And before going there, I just want to have you look at this slide, which explains visually what happens when the two hemispheres of the brain are in sync. We see on the left part of the image, you see the EEG image of a brain that is like the brain that we usually have working in our normal daily life. It's called incoherent brain because the brain wave pattern, as you can see, are kind of all mixed up. They're not ordered because the thought processes are somewhat confused. So we tend to use part of a specific part of the brain, very logical, very rational. If we're trying to solve something, and we're all on the left part of the brain, and we don't realize that if we only let go for a minute and connect the right part of the brain, the solution would come straightforward. So what this technology does is creating the bridge between the two hemispheres and the conditions for the two hemispheres to work together. When the two hemispheres work together, we have what's called a coherent brain. It's also called a whole brain. The potential of a whole brain is much wider, and you discover, and I'm talking from experience, and Pooja knows from experience what I mean. You discover abilities that you have, and which not necessarily are what can I say, extraordinary in terms of I don't know, sometimes we think, oh, I can perceive energies or I can see energies, and that means that my abilities are extraordinary. The ability to live in the present, the ability to feel joy and happy as you run into work, simply because your eyes have been caught by the beautiful green of a leaf of a flower that's growing on a cement. And that's because your brain activity is coherent and you are living in a much more balanced way. You're living in the present moment, and you're not thinking about something that happened yesterday or what you have to do during your day. You're present to yourself, and therefore the quality of your thinking, the quality of your emotions, the quality of the conversations that we have with the people that we love or with strangers are so much more enriching. And all of a sudden, because these things change for the better, the quality of your life can only improve. How does the technology work, and how does the technology get you there? In a very simple, ingenious way. If you look at the extreme right part of this slide, you see a headset, and then you see some numbers. So what the technology does is it sends to the two ears different amounts of hertz, so sounds with different hertz. We have the left ear in this case that's hearing 100 hertz, and the right ear that's hearing 105 hertz. That's only numbers, for example. So what happens is that the left ear does its work and actually hears 100 hertz. All good. The right ear hears 105. That's all good. But then clearly there is a difference between the two sounds. And this difference, which is the 5 hertz, is an electric signal that the two hemispheres of the brain need to work together in order to process and therefore to make it exist as a sound. And therefore, in order to do that, this 5 hertz is called, technically, is called the binaural beat. So when this binaural beat is created by the difference between the two signals, it means that the two hemispheres are working together. Pooja, would you like to add anything onto this topic?
I think you have explained it really well. So do you want to go onto the frequency following response then?
Absolutely. And there we are. I'll pass it on to you, Pooja.
Okay. So as Val explained, because of this phenomena of binaural beats, we can deliver precise frequencies which otherwise are below your auditory range. So these are sounds which otherwise you wouldn't be able to hear. So that's why this is quite a useful technique of delivering these different kinds of frequencies, which we wouldn't be able to otherwise with just regular sound or music. This is called the frequency following response. This phenomenon, sorry, this is not called the frequency following response. So this can be harnessed with another concept called the frequency following response, which is if we are exposed to another frequency which is more dominant in our environment, whether it's sound or it's lights, flickering lights, our physiology, our body tends to follow that. And you may have experienced this. If you're in a place where there's drum beats, you start like, even if you are like, I don't want to dance, I'm this and this, you start just tapping your feet. Your heart rate changes, you get into that mood. Or if you have a different kind of music, which is a very melancholy music, you find that, you again get into that slightly, sort of more, a more restrained state, and you might get melancholic as well. So this music has this effect on us, light has this effect on us as well. And this is called the frequency following response, because our bodies, our physiology is following the dominant frequency in our environment. Now, this is quite a useful concept because we have been able over the past few decades to map the different brainwave states. And these go from beta and alpha and theta and delta and gamma waves. So delta, for example, is when you're in deep sleep. So now if we could mirror this frequency and deliver it to you using binaural beats, it means if you are in that situation where it's night, you're tired, but you're wired, you can't sleep, we can deliver the delta waves to you so that you can settle down and your brain is almost like softly soothed into sleep. Similarly, if you want to get into a slightly trance-like meditation state, we can deliver theta waves. Alpha is very good for creativity. Beta is where we normally are. So, when it's normal waking consciousness. And gamma waves, this used to be really difficult to get to this stage because this is typically the state where, Zen monks, after many decades of meditation, would achieve this brainwave state. But now we have further evolved the technology that you can actually experience these gamma brainwave states. And there is a lot of research coming out. Not only does this lead to very deep spiritual oneness experiences, where at the same time you're very present, but it's also great for things like cognitive improvements. And there's a lot of research ongoing right now in MIT and other places that if you listen to these gamma frequencies, it can actually help with Alzheimer's patients. So that's quite an exciting area of research. So that is the binaural beats plus the frequency following response which then allows us to really leverage this technology for great performance optimization, meditative benefits. Val, anything else?
Absolutely not. That was brilliantly explained. Thank you. Thank you very much. Which now brings us to the experience itself. So now we have fed your rational part, your logic part, by explaining how the technology, so the scientific part works. And now we're going to have the experience. So the experience itself is called Relax and Expand. You're going to have to wear your headsets or earphones if you don't have them on yet. I'm going to play, after stopping the recording, I'm going to play the track for you. The track is really well guided, so I'm not going to go through the steps of the track. I want it to be a surprise so that you can be present as the voice guides you through it. But what I'm going to say, I'm just going to give you a couple of a piece of advice, some pieces of advice with regards to how to get into the exercise. Most of you have not done a Monroe sound science exercise before, so here are some tips. Well, first of all, choose the most comfortable position, just like we did earlier on. Let go of any expectations. As we said a few times, as Pooja reminded us, there is no right way of feeling. There is your way of feeling. So I would suggest you avoid asking yourself, am I doing this right? Or is this the right way of doing it? Should I do this or should I do that? Why? Because when you start asking questions like this as you do the exercise, you're actually activating your left part of the brain, which is the rational part, which takes you out of the optimal conditions to have a deep experience and to let yourself go to the experience. Another thing that I'd like to say is whatever your experience, if you see anything, if you hear anything, or if you feel anything into your body, so kinesthetically, or if you remember something, a thought comes through, whatever the nature of the experience, the thought, the emotion, the visual, etc., please don't. Please avoid to chuck it away or to judge it. Oh no, this can't be useful, or I'm making this up, or no, this cannot be true. This is a thought of mine. It's not something that I'm experiencing. Okay. Once again, if you do that, you are somewhat telling the wisest part of yourself that she's wrong. And most importantly, you are kind of stopping the flow. So accept anything that comes in. Sometimes we interpret some things based on the known, okay, based on what we have experienced previously with regards to that specific image or sensation. But sometimes the meaning and interpretation, the right deep interpretation of the experience comes only after, okay? So just let go, just take everything, don't judge. And the most important advice that I can give you is have fun. Go into it with curiosity, what this can be, you know, what is there for me to discover, and I think it's about being curious about who you are and what you are more than what you know already. It comes little by little. If you don't feel anything, don't panic, because the not feeling anything during the exercise might actually result in a dream, okay, tonight, or it might result in an answer to a question that you might be having for some time just because you overhear it on the radio. That's because you've opened your perception channel through the synchronization of the brain. So it keeps going. It's the gift that keeps giving. Okay, I'm done with explanation. Pooja?
Thanks so much for that, Val. And for those people who are going to be catching up on the recording later, we're going to stop the recording now, but we will include a link to a free version of the exercise so you can listen to that in your own time. So I am going to stop recording.